we're going to be able to set up, set up dimensional analysis. Multiplications. When given the info from the word problem. So today, what's going to happen is, the first example, we're going to pull the information out of the word problem just so you can see what it looks like when we're doing the whole thing. But the rest of our problems today, we're already going to be given all of the information out of the word problem. It's all going to be nice and set up for you. You just have to figure out how to set it up into the dimensional analysis. All right? So we're going to look at this first problem, and we're going to pull all the information out of this first problem. It says Manuel is running at a rate of 8.5 miles per hour during the cross-country meet. If the race takes him 1.7 hours, how long was the race? So first thing we need to do is focus in on the question. Question is, how long was the race? Answer sentence, please. Jalen.
The race was blank miles.
Perfect. Blank miles. So he's kind of using the information that we saw in the last problem, and he's thinking about this. He says, I already know how many hours long the race took. Now I need to know how many miles it took. All right. So when we look at that how long, sometimes we got to think carefully about how long and what it means. All right. In this problem, there was something that was a dead giveaway for a rate. Where is the rate in this particular problem? Perla. Yeah, we see the word per, which means the rate that I want to box in is 8.5 miles per hour. That's our relationship between our two different sets of units. So as we write our given rate, we have 8 miles per 1 hour. Or the other way we can write it is 1 hour per 8 miles. The last thing that we have in this particular problem is what I call a situation. Basically, it's a situation that we are trying to learn more about. Some information that's given to us that we're trying to find its matching piece. So in this particular case, that situation is we know that it took 1.7 hours. That's the situation that we want to learn a little bit more about. 1.7 hours. Right? So this type of problem is a rate problem. We're going to be talking again later on in this unit about the different types of rate problems or some of the other problems that we can use with dimensional analysis. For now, we're just going to suffice to call this a rate problem. So now is the part when we start setting up the dimensional analysis. The most important part of dimensional analysis is making sure that the units lead the way. Now, the one thing that we know about our answer, and this is where we're always going to be starting, is with our answer. We know one thing about our answer already. What do I already know about our answer to this problem? Justin. Okay. What else do we know about our answer already? In fact, we've already kind of in some sort of form or fashion written it down. Kyrie. That doesn't really tell us anything about our answer. What do we already know about our answer? Andrea. Our units are in miles. The whole point of dimensional analysis is to let units lead the way. So we know the units of our answer. And again, with dimensional analysis, we're letting the units lead the way. So the first thing that I'm doing is in my multiplication, I'm going ahead and putting the units on my answer. Okay? Most important part, start with the units of your answer. We're working backwards here. All right, so now I know I need those units to be on top in my answer. So now I need to figure out what I'm multiplying together to get there. Of these two rates that I've written down here, which of these two rates can I use that's going to help me get miles on top in my multiplication over here? Viviana.
8 miles per hour.
8 miles per hour. So I think about it as working backwards. Since it's multiplication, it actually doesn't matter which blank you put it in. I'm going to ask you, just as part of your work for now, to box in the given rate that you're using. And then you can cross out the other one because we're not going to use the same given rate twice. And now I'm, again, looking at my units. I know I want my units to be just miles. But over here on the right-hand, or on the left-hand side, I've got miles and hours. I need to do something to get rid of those hours. What can I do to get rid of those hours? What information can I plug in, and where can I plug it in? Emmanuel.
Oh. 60 minutes.
Okay, so if I plug that in 1 hour to 60 minutes, now I've got minutes left over. I guess that's probably not what I want to do. Viviana, what do you think?
1.7 hours.
1.7 hours. Now we're trying. Now what this leads us to is getting in that piece of information we were trying to find more out about. We can plug in that 1.7 hours, and now we said yesterday, and I'm going to say it to you again, we can treat units just like we treat any other piece of multiplication. If there's the same thing on top and the same thing on bottom, it's like they cancel out. So hours can cancel out with hours. And I'm checking my units now. We're hoping what's left. I have miles on one side. That's all that's left over. Sure enough, my answer is supposed to be miles. That's your check. There's no other check for this problem. When we get to the end, we don't have to do another check. Because what we've done is in the process of looking at the units, we've forced ourselves to know that we set this up right. From here, it's just a matter of multiplying and dividing. So here we multiply top times top, so that would give me 1.7 times 8 on top. And I have nothing but a multiplication of 1 on the bottom. So if I want to finally finish going throughout this problem, I can multiply the top times top, the 1.7 times the 8. And I'm going to get 6, carry the 5. And 1 decimal place, I'm going to get 13.6 miles. All right. So today, if we look back at our aim is not to be able to get the answer to these problems. Today, our focus is in on 100% getting them set up. Okay? So we're going to go through and we're going to worry about setting them up. I know you all know how to multiply and divide, so my goal today is to set up. The multiplication and division sometimes can be time consuming. So today I want to focus on spending our time on just making sure we can get as many problems set up as possible. Yes, sir.
Can you repeat how you got 17.8?
This is not 17.8. This is 1.7 times 8. 1.7 times 8. Okay?
Oh, I didn't see a point.
Yep. All right. So over here on the other hand, on the other side, now this is a problem that we can just pretend there was a word problem associated with that. You've done an excellent job pulling all of the information out of the word problem already. Now we just need to set it up. Remember, when we're setting up dimensional analysis multiplications, the first thing that we are starting with is we're always starting with our answer. What do we already know about our answer to this problem? Kyrie, the units are?
Money.
Yeah, dollars. So we're going to put that. So we can start with the units of our answer. Now, the next thing that we always want to do is we want to pick a rate that's going to help match our answer. So we need something over here on the right-hand side to get us our dollars on top. So I want to use one of these two rates that we've already pulled out of the problem. Show me with your fingers, 1 or 2. Which of these two rates, number 1 or number 2, do I want to use? All right, so I want to plug in number 1. So I'm going to box that one in. I'm going to cross out the other one. I have $36 over 3 hours. Okay, so that gets me, so I have my dollars on top where they're supposed to be. However, I've got these extra units here on the bottom. What do I need to do to cancel this out? Brenda? Yeah, we're going to put in our situation, 18 hours. So our situation's always got to go in there somewhere, otherwise we've missed the entire point. This is what we were trying to find out more about. Here we see our hours cancel out with our hours.
So to be 1.
And so we have 18 times 36 over 3. Just a quick check on our units. We have dollars was the only thing left over. Dollars was our answer. That means all we have to do here is now do the multiplication and division. We could actually do some factoring here. Make this 12 times 3. Cancel out. That's one way to do it. We'd get 12 times 18, which is 216.
You could do 6 too, right?
Or we could have canceled it out into 6 and 3, or we could have done the multiplication and then divided. It doesn't really matter. There's a ton of different ways we could have gone about doing this multiplication and division. But again, our goal today is really to be focused in on making sure that we have it all set up. So for me, what's most important is that you see your units in the right places. You've got your numbers in the right places. You showed me how the units canceled out by putting marks through the canceled out units. And you show me that you know that our units have lined up and crunched out the way that we need them to. All right? We're going to do one last problem. All right, so we see again here, we're looking at this. Remember, when we're doing dimensional analysis, we always start with the
Units.
of the units of the
Number.
units of the
Problem.
units of the
Answer.
answer. So whenever we're doing dimensional analysis, we always start with the units of the
Answer.
okay, and we work our way backwards. So my units of my answer here we know are centimeters. We always want to match the units of our answer with one of our rates, if we can. Show me with your fingers, number 1 or number 2. Which of the two rates that we pulled from, which of the two rates are we going to be using? Should be showing me with your fingers a number 1 or a number 2. Show me which of the two rates we are going to be using. So I see that this one matches. It gets our centimeters on top, 2 centimeters for 50 grams. And unfortunately, though, what we see is when we use that to get our centimeters on top, it also brings grams on the bottom. So we've got to do something to get rid of those grams. What can we do to get rid of those grams? Braven. Yeah, use our situation, 450 grams, and put it on top. That way our grams cancel out with our grams. Double checking. The only thing we have left over is centimeters. We're supposed to have centimeters left over. So now all we have to do is multiply 450 times 2 and divide by 50. Which if we went through and did that, I believe we would get 18. Questions? Emmanuel.
Do we have to use a multiple of 15?
So you could, I think what Emmanuel is trying to say is we could go ahead and we could factor this beforehand. 9 times 50. Cancel out the 50s. That's one way to do the multiplication and division. Again, today's focus is really about getting it set up, not about doing the multiplication and division. Okay. Any questions about our work for today? Esteban. Then you have a decimal in the wrong place. All right. So let's look at this. I need some key points. I think steps would be an excellent place to go with this. Judea, give me first key point.
Always put the unit of the answer.
Perfect. Start by putting the units of the answer. Start by putting the units of the answer. Then what? It's our second key point if we always start by putting the units of our answer. Leslie. Don't forget to cancel out the units. I want to do something that's more of a step-by-step thing. We definitely need to cancel out the units, but right now we don't have any units to cancel out.
Look at the situation so you can
Even before we put the situation. Kyrie.
You choose which rate you need to use.
Yep. Choose a given rate. Choose a given rate to match the units of your answer.
Choose a given rate to what? To match.
Choose one of your given rates to match the units of your answer. Okay, you want to pick the one that's got the correct units on top. Okay, after we have picked our given rate, what was the next thing that we did after we picked our given rate? Perla. Right now we don't have anything to cancel out on the left-hand side. Ian. Put the situation into the multiplication.
Using units.
Yep, to cancel out extra units. Okay.